Political turmoil and growing unrest. The unraveling chaos putting the future of South Korea's president in doubt.
Damp and gloomy, but slowly drying. We're going to be tracking a big cold front that turns things colder and much wetter weather to come.
An early morning shooting leaves the leader of one of America's largest health insurers dead. The evidence leads police to believe United Healthcare CEO was targeted for murder.
And a manhunt is underway in New York this afternoon after a gunman shot and killed that CEO early this morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. As NBC's Chris Pallone reports, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot in the back and leg outside of a hotel in Midtown Manhattan.
Video obtained by NBC News shows the United Healthcare CEO walking alone when a gunman approached him from behind.
The shooter steps onto the sidewalk from behind the car. He ignores numerous other pedestrians, approaches the victim from behind, and shoots him in the back. The shooter then walks toward the victim and continues to shoot.
The NYPD commissioner calls it a brazen, targeted attack.
This does not appear to be a random act of violence.
The healthcare executive, Brian Thompson, was headed to an investor conference at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan around 6:40 in the morning when he was shot. Police say the attacker, dressed in all black, was wearing a distinctive gray backpack during the shooting. He ran across the street and then jumped on an e-bike, last seen entering Central Park a few blocks away.
I hear the shot, and when I look at the guy was a gun, like, the silent gun, got like a black gun. And I saw him after he shot him, he ran across the street this way.
Police found 3 bullet casings and a cell phone at the scene. In a brief interview, Thompson's wife told NBC News her husband had recently received some threats, but she didn't elaborate. As they race against time to find a killer, police in New York insist the general public is safe.
Every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
In a statement, United Healthcare said Brian was a highly respected colleague and friend to all who worked with him. Brian Thompson was 50 years old. There's a $10,000 award for information which helps capture his killer.
It's Chris Pallone reporting there, and police are also trying to find a witness, a woman who was standing just feet from the gunman who ran away when the shots rang out.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Okay, so some beneficial yet generally light rain, unless you were east of 35 where we had a thunderstorm produce some slightly heavier amounts. And you can see the low cloud cover is allowing for some disappearing buildings downtown now from our KXAN West Shore home camera from West Campus looking toward those disappearing buildings. As far as rain goes, there's no more rain on radar, but it may still be damp for you because there's a lot of drizzle underneath the radar beam, and that is harder to detect. So some drizzly spots continue here for the next several hours, and the temperatures have been chilly all day. Upper 50s and low 60s is where we are in the hill country, and the numbers aren't any warmer. In fact, they're slightly cooler in the metro, with most of us still just in the upper 50s. Our eastern counties, it's a blend of upper 50s to a few spots just about 60. So what about rain or really drizzle chances for the next few hours? Widely scattered drizzle for the early to mid-evening, and then slightly lower rain chances overnight into early tomorrow morning with just a couple spotty sprinkles here and there. So coming up in first warning weather, we'll track the drying up drizzle and then a cold front that brings us the coldest high temperatures since last winter, and then a wet Friday and a wet weekend. And by the way, speaking of winter, as another winter season approaches, the first warning weather team wants to keep you prepared. So join us tomorrow night at 10 on KXAN for our winter weather outlook with specific expectations for our coldest season.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And with cooler weather settling in ahead of winter,
Local leaders spoke this afternoon on preparations for the cold months ahead. The Austin area was impacted by harsh weather the past 3 winters around late January to mid-February. And the most drastic of those, the historic 2021 storm, which lasted about a week and led to mass power outages and water loss for days. And although the state's power grid operators expect a relatively warm winter this year, Austin City leaders, including Mayor Kirk Watson, say they aren't taking any chances.
We as a city are preparing by a couple of things. making sure that our utilities are ready for severe weather, and in the event of outages, that we're ready to restore service as soon as we possibly can. By providing warming centers and shelters for those who need it, by delivering vital information to our community members as quickly and as broadly as possible to help Austinites stay safe and to stay informed.
And as far as how you can personally prepare, city leaders recommend you build an emergency kit with things like medications, non-perishable foods, and a gallon of water for each person in your household. The city also recommends you stay informed by signing up for Warn Central Texas emergency notifications and downloading the Ready Central Texas app. The Supreme Court is tackling the issue of gender-affirming care for minors today and whether states can restrict such procedures. Justices heard oral arguments considering a challenge to Tennessee's Republican-backed ban on gender-affirming medical care for transgender minors. The case was brought by the Biden administration alongside transgender teens and their families. No matter how the court rules in this case, it will have a broad impact as more than 20 other states, including Texas, have passed law similar to Tennessee's. A ruling is expected by the end of June.
Well, taking you to South Korea now, where today police blocked protesters as they tried to march to the presidential palace in Seoul, demanding the resignation of President Yoon Suk-yeol. The president imposed martial law yesterday out of frustration with the opposition, vowing to eliminate, quote, anti-state forces as he struggles against opponents whom he accuses of sympathizing with communist North Korea. The country's 190 lawmakers voted down Yoon's martial law decree, with it lasting only about 6 hours before his cabinet formally lifted it. Today, South Korea's opposition parties submitted a motion to impeach the president. The motion could be put to a vote as early as Friday. Well, a heads up for Austin drivers. Those traveling on Mopac's Express Lane in the new year will see higher rates. The Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority is increasing the toll lane's base rate from 57 cents per segment to 65 cents. The new rate will take effect on January 1st. A spokesperson says the rate can increase yearly due to inflation.
Airline executives are in the hot seat over high prices. Today, senators grilled the leaders of major U.S. airlines over the extra costs they are putting on travelers. At a Senate hearing, lawmakers went after airline executives from United, American, Delta, Spirit, and Frontier. They expressed some frustration at the extra fees the companies charge for things like bags or seat choices. Senators say airlines are making billions from the junk charges. They even accuse some airlines of paying bonuses to employees who spot oversized carry-on bags and charge customers for those.
It's a disaster. You charge people fees that they know nothing about. You harass them to death.
But even with the various fees, Americans are flying more than ever before. The Transportation Safety Administration says the 15 busiest days in its history have all happened this year. And the airline executives insist the extra costs aren't junk fees. They're just giving travelers more choices.
There's a strong customer demand for a diverse array of bookings and service options. In our view, a one-size-fits-all travel model would deny lower-cost options to our customers.
Some of the lawmakers say they want the federal government to review the airline charging practices and possibly impose fines on the airlines.
Showers and drizzle eventually added up to 1/4 of an inch of rain in Austin here today. That puts us still a little below average for the month and more than 6 inches of rain below average year to date. Our temperatures were chilly too, only upper 50s. We will get colder than this though to end the week. We'll show you the cool down and much more rain in First Warning Weather. A string of auto thefts in Dripping Springs has some living there on high alert.
The Hays County Sheriff's Office says there have been 4 vehicles stolen in the last few weeks. KXAN's Sam Stark talked to one of the drivers who lost hers to thieves.
Benny, his show name is Benedetto.
Gwen Varnes operates a horse hunter jumper business out of a Dripping Springs stable.
I'm not originally from Dripping. I'm originally from Austin.
She said she was drawn to the community because of its small town feel. But a few nights ago, Varnes was confronted with the changing nature of the city.
I had just walked out to let my dogs out front, and I looked over and my Bronco was missing.
Not a horse, but this red SUV. She said her neighbor's car was also taken. She lives in a gated rural property. She said, like many others who live in rural parts of town, she left her car unlocked.
I'm frustrated, really frustrated. I've got a lot on my plate, just really is one of the many opportunities I get to work to overcome challenges.
The Hays County Sheriff's Office confirmed there have been several auto thefts in Dripping Springs in recent weeks. It said as the community grows, these crimes are becoming more common.
You know, there's a lot of movement coming in out 290 through Dripping Springs, which means more houses, more neighborhoods, more opportunity for criminals, especially coming right out of Austin.
Varn said she does not think Dripping Springs is becoming unsafe, but
I feel like it's time for me to be a little bit more conscious of my surroundings.
In Dripping Springs, Sam Stark, KXAN News.
The Hays County Sheriff's Office encourages everyone living in Dripping Springs, no matter how rural, to lock their car doors. The Sheriff's Office is asking anyone who has experienced a car burglary to report it so deputies can gather fingerprints that could possibly connect it with other crimes. Going in depth right now, last year saw a record number of vehicle thefts reported across the country, and Texas nearly topped that list. According to data from the National Insurance Crime Bureau, Texas had the second highest number of stolen vehicles in the U.S. More than 115,000 vehicle thefts happened in the Lone Star State last year, second only to California, which reported more than 208,000 stolen vehicles. And it makes sense because those are the most populous states.
Let's go ahead and check in with Nick now. And man, this is the type of evening for some like ramen or some soup for dinner, you know, cozy stuff.
Get those pajamas on early, the flannel ones.
Right.
It's perfect for that. We are still drizzly and damp now. This is the view from the top of the Austonian, which is in the cloudiness. The low clouds, some areas of fog and drizzle persist. Even though technically the rain is long gone, it still feels kind of like it's raining when you're in the drizzle or in the clouds. See what I mean? The radar not picking up any actual rain, but under the radar beam is some areas of drizzle that we're still feeling. There goes the rain that was more widespread this morning in midday, and that rain is going to continue to pull away to the east as we head into this evening. So there will be a slow but steady drying trend for us as that rain moves that way. At the same point, there's a cold front north of us that will be sliding south tonight, helping to push down and away the moisture, at least temporarily, bringing us a drier day tomorrow. So there goes the rain. It gets pushed to the east and south. We'll still be under a lot of clouds overnight and a mostly cloudy day tomorrow. If we're going to see any sun, it may be tomorrow morning, and then the clouds thicken up, as you can see, into the afternoon and evening. And then as we get into Friday, we're back to fully cloudy again. In fact, Friday brings our next round of rain. Picks up late morning and midday, and Friday afternoon and evening looking particularly wet. We have upped our rainfall chances for Friday, and we've upped our rainfall chances for Saturday, which is looking damp from start to finish with rounds of showers and even some thunderstorms in the mix here too. There's midday, and we still expect the rain to continue into the afternoon and evening and even into at least Sunday morning. So tonight, patchy drizzle and sprinkles, especially the first half of the night. Overnight lows getting down to 52 in Austin. Some of us are not far from that right now. Our cold front technically comes through tomorrow morning, but there'll be a reinforcing shot of cold air that makes it much colder on Friday. So 62 here tomorrow, mostly cloudy, just a 10% rain chance. And then a chilly rain here for Friday. Our high of 52 Friday and then 51 Saturday would be our coldest daytime highs since last winter. Increasingly wet Friday, a wet and potentially stormy day for us on Saturday. You can see how widespread that rain looks Saturday afternoon, and the rain should continue through most of Sunday morning. This wet weather period finally clears away as we get into Sunday afternoon and evening on what should be a mostly dry start to next week. We continue to up our rainfall projections. 1/4 inch to 1 inch for now all of the hill country in the metro, and the 1 to 2 inch amounts continue to push westward as well. There will probably be some localized 1 inch plus amounts in here too. I just think from a more widespread fashion, you'll have to be in our eastern counties here for those higher rainfall totals there through Sunday. So there's front number 1, knocks us down into the 50s Friday, Saturday. Ahead of our next front, temperatures warm up. 77 on Monday, and then another front comes through, knocks us into the 60s and then 50s by the middle of next week. So as far as those rain chances go, they continue through Saturday. And then we'll be starting to talk more about that next front for next week, because that front may bring us the coldest temperatures of the season here by next Wednesday morning. We're forecasting lows in Austin of 36, but that could mean a more widespread freeze in parts of the hill country. So we'll keep an eye on that.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. The FDA is expanding a recall of cucumbers linked to a salmonella outbreak. Last week, the agency recalled whole cucumbers shipped to 13 states, including Texas. The recall affects fresh American cucumbers from Sunfed Produce, Beloyan Farms, and Russ Davis Wholesale. The FDA says a total of 68 people have been infected and at least 18 have been hospitalized. So far, no deaths have been reported.
Bill O'Reilly on Cuomo.
You're right, Cuomo, and that hurts me to say.
America's favorite sparring duo with TV's liveliest, most honest debate.
I took notes, Cuomo, for you.
Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on News Nation. Then, he had a front row seat to history and plenty of drama. What does former Speaker Kevin McCarthy think of President-elect Trump's cabinet picks? He joins Dan Abrams live tonight.
With his pick for defense secretary running into some roadblocks, President-elect Donald Trump may be weighing other options. Sources tell NBC News Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is in contention for the top Pentagon job, but he's not the only one. As NBC's Alice Barr reports, the president-elect's current selection, Pete Hegseth, is not going down without a fight.
A shifting picture today for President-elect Trump's defense secretary pick as potential replacement names surface from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. Pete Hegseth is pushing back on reports that he's on the outs.
I spoke to the president-elect this morning. He said, keep going, keep fighting. Behind you all the way.
So you're in this all the way.
Why would I back down?
But the former Fox News host and decorated combat veteran's nomination appears in jeopardy, with multiple Republican sources telling NBC News roughly 6 GOP senators are not comfortable right now supporting Hegseth's nomination. That amid mounting allegations about his treatment of women and history with alcohol.
President Trump is the best judge of what's in his best interest, and I defer to him on that.
In an interview today with Megyn Kelly, Hegseth again denied a 2017 allegation of sexual assault that he says was consensual. He was never charged with a crime. He did pay the accuser a confidential settlement.
We were in the middle of a Me Too movement. I had a great job at Fox and a wonderful marriage.
Hegseth's mother on Fox News today publicly disavowed a 2018 email she sent while he was going through a contentious divorce, calling him an abuser of women who belittles, lies, and cheats. She says she apologized almost immediately.
Pete is a new person. He's redeemed, forgiven, changed.
And now 10 current and former Fox employees tell NBC News Hegseth drank in ways that concerned his coworkers. He called those allegations unsubstantiated and said he's never had a drinking problem.
This is the biggest deployment of my life, and there won't be a drop of alcohol on my lips while I'm doing it.
Battling through controversy to lead the world's most powerful fighting force. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
The world is gearing up for the reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris this weekend after more than 5 years of reconstruction following that devastating fire in 2019. Saturday's grand ceremony will host around 50 heads of state, dignitaries, and VIPs under very tight security. They include President-elect Donald Trump, marking his first foreign trip since the election. Also, French President Emmanuel Macron, who has pledged to restore Notre Dame. He did so within 5 years. He wanted to rebuild it, and he has. He's seen his vision come to life this weekend. But the grand reopening isn't just a big moment for President Macron. It's a historic and sentimental step for all of France.
For France, this is a deeply emotional moment, celebrating the revival of a cultural and religious icon that dates back nearly 900 years.
And Notre Dame's weekend of reopening festivities includes a grand opera performance, some solemn rituals, and of course an evening mass. We'll be right back.